Piddington's Secrets. We Know How They Did It by Martin T Hart. Read and adapted for audio by Nell Hardy. The Piddingtons' live BBC broadcasts from 1949 can be heard via the piddingtons.com website and on the YouTube platform.
Preface. Wow, what a journey! Have you ever tried to write a book? Martin considers it the most amazing journey a person can undertake, especially if the book is about real-life events or about a person who truly existed. His journey has been packed with revelation, inspiration, and perspiration. Piddington's Secrets has been in the making for an incredible 17 years, beginning in 1998, 7 years after Sidney Piddington passed away. This may sound absolutely ridiculous, but the events leading up to this book, to Martin, seem almost divine. He's not suggesting that the ghost of Sidney Piddington somehow steered this book into existence, but it sure feels that way. Sidney was adamant in life, and rightly so, that his methods be kept secret, that no other magician should be allowed to perform his inventions or adapt his systems for improved or bigger telepathy effects. Martin suspects the spark for his acts was a contributing factor in this. Sidney was in the Changi prisoner of war camp, suffering the hell of hunger, weakness, and the fear of death. The idea to create his act came accidentally through a chain of events that ended with him reading a stray copy of the Reader's Digest magazine, in which there happened to be an article on extrasensory perception. The effort that went into devising his methods in a place where any future looked uncertain must have created a strong emotional attachment with his methods, the tricks being like a water supply in a harsh and merciless desert. Martin's journey began back in 1998, when he was working as a producer and presenter. He had his own radio show in London called The People's Show. He interviewed many celebrities for the series, and this led to writing a book with British magician Paul Daniels on the subject of con games. That's when his father mentioned that his father, Martin's granddad, worked with Sidney Piddington back in 1949. It was just an off-the-cuff comment. Growing up, Martin remembers hearing many stories about the old days from his extended family members, which included behind-the-scenes adventures with the Piddingtons. But at the time, he did not make the connection that these memories were of Sidney and Lesley Piddington. This was because Sidney was referred to as Piddo and the couple referred to as the Piddos. That said, he still had no idea of their importance until he began to research the name Piddington. Even then, he had no idea the methods had never been discovered.
So you can see how long it took him to realize what was trying to unfold.
I mentioned that it seemed like divine intervention because of the way he began to unravel this amazing piece of history. After his father's off-the-cuff comment in 1998, he conversed with family members who told him more about his grandfather's involvement in the Piddingtons' BBC broadcasts. At this time, he was just curious. There was no intention of writing a book. Each time he stopped thinking about this story, something else would come to his attention, usually coincidentally, that would cause his interest to awaken again. It could be a comment, seeing some mind magic on television, or when a boring, quiet Sunday gave him time to hear his thoughts. A visit to his elders was always magical. Martin would like to thank his Nan's brother, who they called Uncle Dave, for showing him the card tricks he had learned from Sidney, although he never revealed to Martin how they were done. However, Uncle Dave's many stories about his adventures with the BBC shows and the social meetings he enjoyed with the Piddos were fascinating. Uncle Dave has since died, but Martin is sure he is still baffling them all up in heaven with his well-practiced card tricks. Uncle Dave's wife, Bridie Day, deserves recognition for all the times she and Martin sat up overnight just talking about how the Piddos devised their demonstrations and of the many funny and worrying events from behind the scenes.
They spoke of life, love, and shared their whines about the world.
Martin thanks his father for his help in searching their disorganized attic for all and anything from the Piddington days. Martin was hoping to find photos or letters, but instead found his grandfather's RAF notebook, containing the methods that allowed Sidney Piddington to produce the miracle of thought transference in the studio, on stage, and even in a scientific test conducted back in the Changi prisoner of war camp. This was Martin's biggest find, and one he studied over and over again to really understand what he was being told by this now fragile notebook. After a slow but fruitful 15 years,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?